Speaking during the distribution of operational vehicles to security agencies at the FCTA Secretariat in Abuja on Thursday, Wike stated that he won't be swayed by blackmail. Wike said the structures being demolished were illegally built on government lands and gotten by land grabbers, adding that some of the structures pose security risks. The minister insisted there was no going back and vowed to go after more illegally constructed buildings and shanties. He said, "Let me use this opportunity to tell Nigerians and residents of Abuja we are not afraid of blackmailing. In fact, you cannot be in this kind of position, and you cannot be blackmailed, particularly regarding this Abuja. There are so many land grabbers. Some of us have come to put our feet down. Let heaven fall. It is even better that heaven comes down now so that we would not be fasting again to go to heaven. We would stop anybody who thinks they will take government land for whatever reason with formal approval. We would not look at your face. If you like, be a civil rights activist or a television personality. What is wrong is wrong. No amount of blackmail can stop us. People take government property without approval or documentation. People take government property without approval, without documents. And I have told people that there was a government yesterday, and the government did not take any step, but that does not mean that another government will come today and will not take steps. You are a squatter. If you like, go and carry everybody. What is wrong is wrong. You go back, you tell people to beg me, then you go on television to tell people that they came to take your land, and you said the land was allocated to a Rivers man. So what? Is a Rivers man not entitled to land in Abuja? You tell me who that person is who is entitled to have land in Abuja. The minister also warned persons who still owed ground rents in the FCT to pay up or risk their titles being revoked. He said, "All those who have not paid, who thought we were joking, I am going to revoke all. I am going to do it. You think nothing will happen? Something will happen. Go and check your records. If you have not paid, I will give you time to pay. But once the time expires, forget it. I will revoke it and allocate it to those who will pay." Wike also said his administration would hand over 12 new police divisions to the FCT Commissioner of Police before April 2025. The minister, who emphasized security as the priority of any government, said the construction of the new police divisions was ongoing across the 6 area councils of the FCT, in response to the request of the Commissioner of Police. He urged the security agencies to utilize the vehicles, particularly in the rural areas, to ensure the safety of residents during and after the Yuletide. The Commissioner of Police requested for additional police divisions, and I told the CP we will do it. As I speak to you now, it's ongoing. 12 police divisions, it's ongoing in the 6 area councils. By the grace of God, before April next year, we believe those police divisions would have been finished and furnished, and equipped, and then we will hand it over to the Commissioner of Police. Like I said last time, we must not give space. We must not allow these criminals to strike before we go in. We have to take the war to them. Let them know that we are serious, he said. Speaking on the Christmas and New Year festivities, he charged the police not to allow any gap. During this Yuletide period, make sure that we don't give them any gap. I don't want anybody to say because there was no vehicle before we could reach there, something has happened. No, he said. Wike also stated that the FCT administration had provided 50 vehicles for federal security agencies in Abuja earlier in the year, making a total of 100 operational vehicles, noting that no state had done the same within the time frame. The FCT Commissioner of Police, Olatunji Disu, who spoke on behalf of all security agencies, thanked the minister for the provision and restated the commitment of the agencies to providing a safe and secure environment for residents. As we accept these vehicles, we assure you, sir, that they will be deployed effectively and efficiently to boost our security efforts. Our commitment to providing a safe and secure environment for all residents remains our highest priority. We understand the challenges that lie ahead, and with this generous contribution, we are better equipped to face them, he said. He added that in collaboration with sister agencies, We will utilize these resources to strengthen our response time to incidents, enhance our visibility in the communities, and foster trust and cooperation between law enforcement and the public. We recognize that security is a shared responsibility, and we are dedicated to working alongside the community to create an environment where everyone feels safe. Wike urged the security agencies to use the provided vehicles to ensure the safety of lives and property in the FCT, especially during the Yuletide season, noting that security was a priority function of any government. Of the 50 vehicles, 25 were allocated to the FCT command of the Nigeria Police Force, 5 each to the FCT Department of State Services, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, and the Nigerian Army Guards Brigade, 2 each for the Abuja Naval Unit and Nigeria Air Force Camp Abuja, while the remaining 6 were allocated to the secretaries, departments and agencies of the FCT. Property owners are accusing FCT Minister Nyesom Wike of seizing their property and allocating the same to his cronies. Some of the residents accused the FCT administration of hurriedly publishing their plots in the newspapers and giving 2 weeks' notice or the risk revocation. One of them, a rights activist, Chief Rita Lori Ogbebor, alleged the revocation of the ownership of a property belonging to her late husband, Colonel Paul Ogbebor, RTD, in Abuja, pleading with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to call the minister to order. According to her, the estate, which is located in the Life Camp area in FCT, is the property of Paulosa Nigeria Limited, a company owned by Colonel Ogbebor, a Civil War hero and one of the first-generation officers in the Nigerian Army. Lori Ogbebor said the Federal Capital Development Authority, FCDA, had issued a notice to quit on November 22, 2024, and went ahead to reallocate the property on December 9. She added that her findings at the Corporate Affairs Commission (CAC) indicated that the estate was reallocated to a company that has a 3-time member of the House of Representatives as director. Lori Ogbebor said a certificate of ownership was issued 3 weeks after the notice was issued to the management of the estate. She said it was unjust to revoke the property, which was rightly acquired by her late husband, who fought for the unity of the country and whose company, Paulosa, was among the leading firms that constructed prominent infrastructure in the FCT. According to her, my husband went to Abuja and worked there. He wasn't a land grabber. My husband was among those whose sweat contributed in building the Abuja we have today. He gave people hope to come to Abuja. He never collected any land. My husband got his land rightfully like any other Nigerian. Paulosa is a company that brought Italians, Lebanese to work in this country. And they are there to date. They were all given land certificates. Later, they were told they were now free to apply permanently for this land. My dear husband constructed the sewage system in Abuja. My dear husband died during COVID-19 outbreak. He had children. The children paid $10 million to regularize. When they demanded receipt, FCT officials said they were not ready yet. That was during Mohammed Musa El-Rufai came. It was the same thing. At some point, they said the area was not surveyed and that they needed to survey it. The children paid for the survey to the FCDA. Every time they would say the file is with the minister. When Wike came, on November 22, 2024, he sent a quit notice. The children were surprised. I couldn't even imagine it. He followed it up with a demolition notice on the 9th. The occupants were asked to quit, that they are now staying there illegally. I don't want my husband's legacy to be destroyed. He served this country well. Whatever it is they want us to pay again, the children will pay it. It will be injustice to the memory of Colonel Ogbebor if the estate is destroyed and given to another person. He didn't bring any money back home. The only legacy he has that bears his name is this estate. The sad thing here is that the property was reallocated to a company with the name of a 3-time House of Representatives member, who has ties with Wike as director. I went to CAC and I have the proof now. All I am asking is for the president to call Wike to order. This is our country. The revocation of lands in Abuja should be probed. Why would land be grabbed from those who labored for it? Where was he when Abuja was a forest? Mr. President, whose name is being polluted, should order the probe. Enough is enough. I have asked my lawyers to file a case in court on the matter. The land grabbing in Abuja won't help this country. Popular social media critic and human rights activist Martin Zorts, popularly known as Verydarkman (VDM), has denied allegations that he threatened the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, following the revocation of ownership of a landed property owned by the family of the late Colonel Paul Ogbebor. The deceased was a Civil War veteran and is touted as the first Nigerian to be enrolled in the cadets of Course 1 of the Nigerian Defense Academy. On Wednesday, the Vanguard reported a public outcry by the family of the late war veteran over an alleged plot to demolish an 3.5 billion estate in Abuja developed initially by Mr. Ogbebor. The management of the 42-year-old estate in Abuja also alleged the Federal Capital Development Authorities (FCDA) planned to demolish the property, despite its long-standing presence. At a press briefing in Abuja, Vincent Enahase, the estate's general manager, revealed that the FCDA had issued a demolition notice, citing claims that the buildings were dilapidated and uninhabitable. However, Mr. Enahase disputed these claims, stating that the family had been in the process of securing the certificate of occupancy and right of occupancy from the FCT administration. He claimed that the family had already deposited 10 million nairas of the required 42 million nairas to complete the process. However, the senior special advisor to the FCT Minister on Public Communication and Social Media, Olorere Olayinka, in a statement published by The Punch, denied the allegations against his principal and asked those alleging land grabbing by the FCT administration to show evidence of land ownership. Mr. Olayinka's response was in response to VDM's allegations that the FCT minister had revoked the land titles to the estate and issued the same to Saravera Nigeria Limited and the minority leader and member of the House of Representatives representing Obio Akpor constituency, Kingsley Chinda. The controversy began after a video claiming that Mr. Wike revoked the Ogbebor's family property, which was allocated in 1984, went viral. Additionally, a WhatsApp broadcast where VDM was accused of threatening the minister's life surfaced online. Responding to the claims against him, VDM took to his Instagram to refute them and clarify his stance. He affirmed that he uses his platform to advocate for justice for the oppressed. "I did not threaten Nyesom Wike's life. I am not associated with the WhatsApp broadcast making rounds," he said. Furthermore, he stated that he only appealed to the minister. "I was appealing to the minister to reconsider the land documents presented by the family of late Colonel Paul Ogbebor, a war veteran and the first cadet of the Nigerian Defense Academy (NDA) with code 001. All the land documents allocated are genuine." The human rights activist clarified that a video he posted regarding the revoked land was edited and misrepresented. "Someone edited my video with a new caption, making it look like I'm threatening him. Please, I am not associated with threatening anybody's life. It's not in my character or nature." He further reaffirmed his commitment to using his platform to support those who are unjustly treated, stressing that he does this non-violently. "The only thing I did in that video was plead with the minister to review the documents because the family are the rightful owners of that land." He also followed with another post with the caption, "Currently live at Life Camp by Minister's Gate roundabout where Nyesom Wike has authorized bulldozers to carry out injustice." Furthermore, he implored high-ranking officers of the Nigerian military to rise to the occasion and defend the veteran in his absence. "I am calling on the attention of all military senior officers, majors, generals and co. It will be a disgrace and a shame to the entire Nigeria Armed Forces if they let Nyesom Wike do this to someone as great as Colonel Paul Ogbebor, the first Nigerian cadet of the NDA code 001, a man that carried 3 bullet wounds from the Civil War while sacrificing for Nigeria. I want all Army, Navy, and Air Force senior officers to understand that tomorrow might be their turn. This land Nyesom Wike has been trying to grab has been a legal allocation document since 1984, and from nowhere, Nyesom Wike has revoked it. He also alleged that the minister had revoked the property on the premise of self-interest and as a member of the political elite as a co-conspirator, and allocated the land to the company that is allegedly managing his hotels in Port Harcourt. He also gave shares to Kingsley Chinder, the leader of the minority in the House of Reps. This is injustice, and we will stand against it, he concluded. Those alleging land grabbing should provide evidence of ownership. But reacting to the allegations, Lere Olayinka, Senior Special Assistant on Public Communications and New Media to the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, has challenged those using social media to circulate falsehoods about their lands being grabbed by the Federal Capital Territory Administration (FCTA) to provide genuine evidence that they own such land. Olayinka, who also cautioned self-appointed social media activists to be mindful of being used to promote false claims, said, "The most reasonable thing for anyone to do is to find out from both sides before going public with any issue," referring to a recent video being circulated on land located in Life Camp, particularly Plot No. 2241, Gwarimpa District, Cadastral Zone CO2, Abuja. The FCT minister's spokesman challenged those claiming ownership of the land to provide right of occupancy or certificate of occupancy granted by the FCTA. Olayinka said, "A construction company, Paulosa Nigeria Limited, occupied the land as a temporary office, under a temporary right of occupancy arrangement granted in 1984, 40 years ago. For 36 years, the company occupied the land, built permanent structures on it and rented them out without any approval from the government. On November 18, 2020, after occupying the land for 36 years without approval, Paulosa Nigeria Limited applied to the then Minister of the Federal Capital Territory for the conversion of the temporary right of occupancy to a statutory right of occupancy. On February 1, 2023, approval was granted to Paulosa Nigeria Limited for a statutory right of occupancy, subject to certain terms and conditions. Some of the terms and conditions are, payment of ground rent per square meter per annum, which was N50K per square meter from 2022 to 2023, amounting to N2,332,143, payment of premium of N500 per square meter, amounting to N11,660,715, and payment of ground rent from 1984 to 2021, 37 years, amounting to N43,144,645. However, for 20 months, Paulosa Nigeria Limited refused to comply with the terms and conditions for the approval. Consequent upon the failure of Paulosa Nigeria Limited to comply with the terms and conditions for approval granted for a right of occupancy on the said land, the approval was revoked on October 10, 2024, more than 20 months after it was given. From the above, it should be clear that Paulosa Nigeria Limited never at any time owned the land. For instance, if a student who was offered admission to a university refused to pay the fees stipulated in the offer of admission, and fulfill other terms and conditions for the admission, can the student have any claim to the studentship of the university? While counseling those who are desirous of doing human rights activism to be mindful of being used to peddle falsehood, Olayinka said, "My advice to our social media emergency human rights advocates is that they should always endeavor to investigate claims by whoever that is seeking their service. For instance, if the person who took his time to do that video had taken a simple step of investigating further, he would have been well informed, such that he won't be used to mislead the public. The other time, a certain character who went to school in the night to study baseless black market law, was on social media, ranting that the FCT minister grabbed someone's land. If he had studied law properly, he would have taken the proper step of approaching relevant government agencies for information on the said land. Our online lawyer would have been properly schooled when you get allocated for a recreation park. Building a school and a church on the land is a clear contravention of the condition for which the land was allocated." The Senate on Thursday directed the Federal Capital Territory Minister, Nyesom Wike, to immediately halt all ongoing property demolitions in Abuja. This resolution followed concerns over alleged irregularities and hardships caused by the demolitions. In addition, the Senate summoned the minister to appear before an ad hoc committee formed to investigate the demolition activities. The committee, chaired by Deputy Senate President Senator Jibrin Barau, has been given 2 weeks to submit its findings. He also constituted an ad hoc committee to liaise with the FCT administration. Apart from Mr. Jibrin, who chairs the committee, other members are Sahabi Ya'u, PDP, Zamfara North, Victor Ume, LP, Anambra Central, Jimo Ibrahim, APC, Ondo South, Oyolola Ashiru, APC, Kwara South, Agam Jarigbe, PDP, Cross River North, Mohammed Manguno, APC, Borno North and Idiot Adebule, APC, Lagos West. The resolution followed a motion sponsored by Areti Kingibe, LP, FCT, during the plenary. Mrs. Kingibe, while presenting the motion, said the demolition of buildings since the beginning of Mr. Wike's administration is not in line with court rulings. The senator also said the demolition has increased hardship among residents of the territory because many people have been rendered homeless. She specifically cited the revocation of an estate around Life Camp owned by the late Paul Ogbebor, a retired colonel. Mrs. Kingibe urged the senators to compel the Federal Capital Territory Administration (FCTA) to suspend the estate's revocation. While reading the resolution, the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, emphasized the importance of halting demolitions until proper investigations are conducted. He said, "The Senate urges the Federal Capital Development Authority to stop further demolitions of structures, except those ordered by courts of competent jurisdiction, until the ad hoc committee concludes its investigation and interfaces with the FCT administration within the next 2 weeks." In her lead debate, Senator Kingibe raised concerns about the demolition exercise, noting it often deviated from due process. She argued that affected individuals had suffered immense losses due to demolitions that appeared unjustified. She said, "In recent times, the demolition exercise in the FCT was no longer based on reasons that necessitated the demolition. A cross-section of individuals have suffered untold hardships occasioned by massive demolition, which has led to a loss of properties worth billions of naira." Kingibe specifically highlighted the ongoing revocation and demolition of Mrs. Paulosa Estate, chaired by the late Colonel Paul Ogbebor. According to her, the land had been properly allocated to him in 1984, with all requisite documentation. She urged the Senate to resolve that demolitions should only proceed in line with due process and called for an investigation into the matter. During the debate, Senator Karimi Sunday, APC, Kogi West, argued against halting demolitions without first hearing from the FCT minister. He said, "We need to investigate this matter before giving any directive. We must hear from the minister. You cannot shave a man's head at his back." However, Senator Adeniyi Adegbonmire, APC, Ondo Central, chairman of the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights, and Legal Matters, disagreed. He supported the motion to stop the demolitions, emphasizing fairness and the need to avoid irreversible actions during the investigation. "Are we saying that we should allow the place to be demolished while we are trying to look into it? What is fair is to say stop the situation today and let us investigate," Adegbonmire argued. Backing Adegbonmire's stance, Akpabio stated, "If we just say, continue the demolition, and then we start investigating, what are we then investigating? It's important for us to ensure that demolitions are in the best interest of Nigerians and follow proper procedures." The Senate resolved to urge the FCT minister to halt further demolitions and tasked the ad hoc committee to ensure a thorough investigation. The committee comprises notable senators, including Deputy Senate Leader Senator Oyolola Asha, Chief Whip Senator Tahir Minguno, and others, who are expected to present their findings within 2 weeks. Kogi Central Senator Natasha Apoti-Uduran seconded the motion. Mrs. Apoti-Uduran urged the Senate to direct Mr. Wike to stop demolishing FCT structures and constitute an ad hoc committee to investigate the demolitions. Kogi West Senator Kami Sunday said the Senate needs to hear from the FCT minister before deciding on the issue. Deputy Senate Leader Oyolola Ashiru said his colleagues do not have the right to stop Mr. Wike from bringing down buildings in the FCT, noting that the minister is cleaning the city. In his remarks, the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, said the court had authorized the demolition of some of the buildings because they were illegal structures. The court has authorized some of the demolitions. If somebody built on the drainage and the court ordered that such buildings should be demolished, you cannot come up with a resolution to stop the order, he said. Mr. Akpabio also urged his colleagues not to be emotional about the demolition of buildings in the FCT but to look at the reasons for the demolitions. Let us try not to be emotional with issues, he added. After the extensive debate on the issue, the Senate President put the motion to the vote, and the majority of the senators supported it.